The year was 1944. The sky over the Burmese jungle was a hazy, sweltering steam bath. While the fighter pilots were dogfighting miles above, Lieutenant Sam, Bird Dog Miller, was flying just 50 feet above the teak trees in a tiny, fabric-covered plane that felt more like a lawnmower with wings. Sam was an artillery spotter. His job was to find hidden Japanese mortar pits and call down the lightning. But in a jungle so thick you couldn't see your own boots, finding anything required a lent, slow, and agonizing patience. The stagnant patrol, the L-5, didn't fly fast. In fact, it was designed to fly so lent that it almost hovered. Sam cruised at 60 miles per hour. His windows slid open to catch whatever breeze he could find. The heat was a physical weight, making the fabric of the wings hum and the oil in the engine thick and sluggish. "See anything, Sam?" The radio crackled from the ground. A hidden artillery battery 5 miles away. "Nothing but green, Charlie," Sam replied, his flight suit soaked through with sweat. "The jungle is holding its breath today. I'm going to do a length circle over the ridge." The shadow of the muzzle, he throttled back. The plane began to drift, almost standing still against the wind. This was the Lent watch. Sam didn't look for soldiers. He looked for unnatural shadows. He looked for a branch that didn't move quite right, or a wisp of smoke that was too gray to be missed. Then he saw it, a tiny flicker of yellow light through the leaves. He didn't dive. Diving would attract attention. Instead, he stayed in a lent, lazy orbit, pretending to be a lost scout. He pulled out his map and marked the coordinates with a steady hand, despite the turbulence tossing the light plane around like a leaf. "The correction. Target acquired," Sam whispered into his headset. "Adjust fire. 1 round, smoke. Let's see where it lands." He watched the jungle floor. A minute later, a white plume of phosphorus erupted 300 yards from the hidden pit. "Correcting," Sam said. His voice was lent and rhythmic, keeping the ground crew calm. "Drop 200. Left 50. Fire for effect." He stayed right over the target. He was a sitting duck. A single soldier with a rifle could have brought him down, but Sam didn't flinch. He kept the plane in that agonizingly lent circle, watching the shells fall. The iron rain, the jungle floor erupted. The hidden mortar were silenced in a cascade of fire and splintering timber. As the smoke cleared, Sam saw the enemy retreating into the deeper brush. But his fuel gauge was bouncing on empty. The return trip to the airstrip, which was really just a cleared patch of mud between 2 hills, would be a lent struggle against the headwind. The muddy touchdown he brought the grasshopper in for a landing. He didn't have a runway. He had 100 yards of slick red clay. He touched down at a lent, walking pace, the wheels splashing through the muck. He cut the engine, and the silence of the jungle rushed back in, louder than the motor had ever been. He climbed out of the cockpit, his legs shaking from the vibration of the flight. A sergeant ran up to him with a canteen of warm, chlorinated water. "You were hanging over that ridge for a long time, Lieutenant. We thought they'd picked you off for sure." Sam took a lent, thoughtful swallow of the water. He looked back at his little fabric plane, which was now covered in bits of leaves and jungle debris. "The jungle is a deep ocean, Sarge," Sam said quietly. "If you move too fast, you miss the fish. You have to be lent enough to let the shadows speak to you." The war eventually moved out of the mountains and toward the sea. The L-5 South were eventually stripped for parts or left to be swallowed by the vines. But Sam Miller never forgot the heat of the cockpit and the lent, circling war where the eyes were more powerful than the guns.